good.
All right. Hey, everybody. I'm Anthony. I'm joined by Rachel and, of course, our CEO and President, Lance Bachman. We are here for episode 75 right here in front of our office in our headquarters in Bristol, Pennsylvania. We have some awesome stuff to go over this week on episode 75. Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. But before we do that, Lance wanted to announce a few things that we have coming up here in the One SEO.
We are hiring, as everyone knows, we're hiring in Utah, Salt Lake City. We are hiring here in Bristol, Philadelphia. So we're hiring for developers, techs, PPC people, social media people. We're hiring for Rachel's job. No, I'm joking. There we go. No, we are hiring.
Y'all would miss me.
We are hiring everybody, so please apply. We're growing a lot of different perks. I'll let Anthony and Rachel talk to you about that.
Definitely.
Also, 24 hours to our holiday Christmas party tomorrow. So we're looking forward to seeing everyone there. And Anthony, I'll throw it back to you so I can go back to work.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Lance, appreciate it. And we're really excited about the party. Rachel and I talked about it a little bit last week. Rachel, the one thing we wanted to bring back up was the unwrapped gift.
Yeah, so if you're coming to our holiday party, please bring an unwrapped toy. It's going to be donated to the YWCA like we do every year. And this year, we're actually going to hold an event with the kids. So it's going to be really, really exciting. And any donation is worthwhile. The YWCA thanks you, One SEO thanks you, and just holiday party. Merry
Christmas, Happy New Year's, everybody. I'll see everybody next year.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Can't wait. No, but that is tomorrow night at the Cottage Green.
Yep,
and
Cottage Green starts at 6:30. If you want to RSVP and you haven't yet, just shoot us an email. All the information you will possibly need is on our Facebook page. It's right under the events. So
yeah, this is my fourth one. Always a great time. I think this is your third.
This is my third, but this is the third one I planned too.
Nah, they'll be fun. It's always a good time. Mr. Bill Russell will be there as well. He wanted everybody to know. Or he'll just tell you himself.
We're live, y'all.
What's going on, everybody? What are we talking about?
Holiday party. How great are my parties?
Oh my God, you got to be there. You got to be there.
My parties are great. Bill agrees.
More info on our Facebook page. It's set up as an event there too. So if you wanted information that way, you can pretty quickly get information. Definitely. To the hiring point though, like Lance had mentioned, we are hiring both here in our Bristol office, also out in our Salt Lake City office, which is growing pretty rapidly right now. All of that information can be found on oneseo.com/about-us/careers. Launched a new site, so we have a site. You're gonna have to get used to that. It is on all the information is on our website about the different positions, how you can apply. But we really encourage you to do it. The One SEO family's growing. We have a lot of fun here, and of course, we're always learning. So yeah,
a lot of fun here.
Lots of fun. But no, we wanted to jump in. So first and foremost, this is a pretty big milestone, episode 75. I think that's noteworthy in and of itself.
You know what's funny though? On my Facebook memories today, a year ago, we were filming at Wells Fargo.
Was that a year? Yeah, it was.
Yeah, it was a year ago. So
that was a great episode.
I remember throwback to Marketing Matters before Taking Control took over. But
yeah.
Look how far we've grown from them to here.
Talking net neutrality back then. I remember that episode. That was a good one.
It's been quite an honor, Anthony.
It has been, but Rachel and I have some awesome stuff to get into. We're actually going to just kick things right off and get into the first story. And one of the hot topics right now has to do with voice and the way kind of people are talking into these different devices, whether it's an Alexa device, whether it's a Google Home device. Both of these, I pinpoint Google and Alexa, or Amazon rather, primarily because they're the two biggest. Facebook just released the Facebook portal, which is kind of getting into the home device world. But really, and thank you, Nikki, very much for all the help. But, really, I kind of look at it as Google and Amazon, and they're almost kind of neck and neck with what they're doing. One of the things that Google recently did that kind of blew everybody's minds was basically the assistant making the phone call for you. So the example that they used was, somebody wanted to book a hair appointment, and basically they just told their Google Assistant to book the hair appointment, and the next thing you know, the machine is talking to the hairdresser and booking the actual appointment. It seems like really cutting edge stuff. Amazon is now trying to kind of catch up a little bit, I think, with the Alexa. So before we even jump into what Amazon's doing with the Alexa, it's important to note that the Alexa, sort of system is on over 20,000 different devices. And I don't mean like...
I think that's a milestone in itself.
Right.
Like
you can see how many partnerships.
20,000.
Exactly. And that's not, 20,000 different Alexa Echoes or whatever it is out there. It means that 20,000 different types of devices, whether it's a microwave or a coffee maker or, a home device or a phone, all have Alexa enabled on them. We talk about cars and things like that.
And
so many things.
How did that roll out? Like what was that? A year or two? 2-ish maybe?
Yeah, it was about 2 years ago.
So think in 2 years they were able to cover that much ground with that many partnerships, which is actually astronomical.
It's really crazy.
It's very impressive.
You know, in our space, a lot of people that wonder about the Alexa is, okay, well, how does it affect my business? I'm a local business. Are people able to find my business information on Alexa if they said, you know, okay, Alexa, find me a plumber? And you know, all of that is sort of right here in the now, in the present. And you know, back in July, Alexa introduced where you could get really pertinent local business information. So you could get, you know, their hours and their phone number, their address, all that information through an Alexa device. Now what's happening, Alexa is rolling out where you're able to kind of call these local businesses.
Yep.
It's not quite there to the Google Duplex form where they're able to make an appointment for you or actually speak on your behalf. But you know, it's a step in the right direction in that Amazon is trying to connect consumers to local businesses through Alexa.
So I guess it's not to cut you off, but it's one of those things you just kind of keep your ear out for if you are an Amazon user over the Google Home. This
like me,
could be
yeah.
right up like you.
It's cheaper.
Oh.
It is.
I'm not a home device user. I'd like to be, but I feel like I wouldn't know what to use it with.
Whoever had Rachel for Secret Santa.
Oh my gosh,
Echo.
Yeah. Whoever has me for Secret Santa, I want an Echo.
But when you...
But like, don't count it out. So I know a lot of people,
Right.
like, whether you trust Google over Amazon, whether you feel that the Google Home gives you more, Amazon is never far behind. So definitely don't count it out. That's where I guess really,
and it's
20,000 devices is the biggest thing that's
it is. But when you think about kind of what people use the Alexa for and what they use these, it's still, you know, I still think we're in the early stages of like people adapting to voice.
Oh,
you
yeah,
look at like the number one use for it, I think, is to set a timer, and then the number two is to play a song. So
I think weather and traffic.
Weather and traffic are probably right there as well, and that's sort of, you know, that's sort of still the basic, I feel like, almost like rudimentary stuff, whereas it's not quite, you know, only 2% of Amazon Alexa users said that they made a purchase through their Alexa device, which is not really that surprising because people just aren't there yet where they're buying things or they're ordering things through Alexa. Now they're trying to get to that point when they integrate with skills
like a lot of time. As artificial intelligence gets greater, like
It's
the
getting
opportunity,
scarier, too.
it is getting scary.
When
It's
you
getting
talk about-
scarier.
yeah,
You
so-
know how I feel about AI.
I do. So
Shakes me.
there's a great TED talk on how these Alexa devices actually work too, and how much data they're kind of capturing, which is scary. But when you look at, like, you know, we've got the Amazon Alexa, we've got Google Home, and now we have Facebook Portal. It's going to be interesting to see how those three kind of compete for your attention and your home, basically.
Absolutely.
But
All right.
So pivoting a little bit over to Google, and one of the things that's happening as we speak, as of December 13th, which of course is today, is Google is officially switching a lot of the functionality in Search Console over to their new Search Console. Now, you know, to backtrack a little bit, you know, what is Search Console? Search Console is essentially a Google platform. It's a Google tool where you can sync it with your website, and it essentially allows you to kind of get a lifeline to Google. Google will let you know if, you know, there's something wrong with your website. Maybe there's 404s or there's broken pages or whatever it might be. You know, that's where Google will kind of let you know, and you can kind of get a health status of your website through Search Console. It's, you know, without a doubt, one of the most important aspects when you have a website is to ensure that you have a Search Console.
On the other side, it can also give you tips and tricks. So I monitor all of our clients, like major databases of our Search Console, and it's like how to monitor your traffic, how to increase your traffic. You know, like it also gives you tips and tricks. So if you're very new to the Search Console realm, understand that it can be like a doctor, like it can be a health helper, but it also could be an assistant. So you would know more than I would. That's just my 2 cents.
No, that's exactly right. And you know, it's funny. The reason why we're bringing this up is because, like I said, as of today, you know, Google has been rolling out this newer version of Search Console over these last few months. And of course, with anything new, there's grumblings. You know, I remember when AdWords was getting switched over. Everybody on the PPC team is so used to the old one, and there was a lot of there was some complaining there as far as having to use this new interface and learn everything again. Search Console is very similar. You know, there is some adjustments that you're going to need to make when you look at the new one. Personally, after using it for a while, and I know the SEO team here, after using it for a while, we actually prefer the new one, so I'm excited about the shift.
What's the difference? Why do you prefer the new one?
So you can just go into a lot more depth with a lot of things, not just, the two biggest things that people use Search Console for are what's called search analytics, and then of course your coverage. How many pages of your website are on Google's index, and those two reports within Search Console have gotten probably 3x better on the new one, just more data points. But that kind of brings me into a great point where, search analytics, links to your site, internal links, manual actions, mobile usability, and the index, the coverage, are all features that would now have to be found on the new Search Console. So as of today, you're no longer going to be able to pull any of that information on the old Search Console.
I guess it's also kind of just a comforting factor is that if you're just getting into digital marketing, if you're just getting into using Search Console and their platforms, or even if you've already been using it, it's a way that that Google is always bettering themselves and always want to be better for your business. So one of those things that if you're not, you should. If you already are, think of all the great information that you're getting moving forward. It kind of gives you Google isn't going to let you down, that they're always making better. And you hear it from our award-winning SEO team over here that it's better.
It's more in depth,
better traffic and things like that. So I just think that's a good part on Google, and nobody likes change, but in the end, if it's going to benefit your business, your analytics and your numbers, then great. Yeah,
it's honestly it's long overdue. The old Search Console's been around for so long, previously known as Google Webmaster Tools. That format's been around for years, so it was long overdue, and I think as an industry, people are excited about the shift. The reason why they're not getting rid of the old Search Console entirely yet is because there are aspects to the old Search Console that are not yet in the new one, so you'll unfortunately kind of have to balancing between the two. It's a little bit of an annoyance, but obviously everything in the future will be carried over, hopefully as soon as Google decides to make that move. But the biggest reason is, as of today, if you can't find anything, it's because you're probably looking in the old one. You'll need to bounce over to the new one. So Facebook, as we all know, is one of the largest advertising platforms out there. They've certainly made a name for themselves as far as paid advertisement goes. Whether you're boosting a post or you're boosting a video or you're running a sponsored ad or lead gen or whatever it might be. One of the things that they're they're always testing just like everybody, but one of the things that they're recently testing is now showing ads within the search results of Facebook. And when you look at the Facebook platform, the search part of it, I think, is one of the most untapped kind of components to Facebook.
I completely agree.
Because, it's something that a lot of people don't necessarily think about, but Facebook's obviously seeing the numbers that they want in people using that search feature to the point where they're like, okay, we're going to start serving up or testing it, serving up ads within the search results of Facebook. So I thought that was interesting. One of the biggest components of this, and Rachel and I talked about this last week, I think, is the marketplace. You talk about if you're a little niche business and you sell a unique product or whatever it might be, you're going to be able to run sponsored ads within the marketplace for someone who's searching with a keyword. They're looking for a product right there on the marketplace. Not just coming back organically from that search, but now you're going to be able to put a little bit of money behind it and try to get your results served up that way. A few caveats: it's limited right now to automotive and retailers, which is kind of makes sense from a testing perspective. But they've made it very clear that if they see an interest there, they'll certainly broaden its reach. So I'm excited. I think it's interesting. You kind of have to pay attention. So many things on Facebook nowadays say sponsored, have the little sponsored thing, and there's a fine line there.
The big thing that I think Facebook is really trying to get back to, which I know I always preach about Facebook when I'm up here, is the personal. The personal. They want to get away from it being this advertising platform to their users and get more personal, family, friends, connections.
Right.
So I know the ads, they'll clearly say sponsored. They're trying to be as transparent as it is. But Anthony and I were talking, and I think there's going to be a note of why am I seeing this?
Yep. Yeah.
So if you're interested as to why you get targeted, click it. The more you know, the better. But I just think, I'd hope that the more they advertise, the better they get at that, just because Facebook is really trying this whole campaign to be more personal, to stop being just ads, to bring it back to family, friends.
Yeah, I mean, they ran these, these massive campaigns on TV and everything like that to promote how they are going back to the, the connecting with users, and they see how long people spend on Facebook, and they see how, they don't like the numbers or they were unhappy, so they made those changes, pretty directly, so where you're not seeing as much from businesses within the organic feed, and now you're seeing a lot more from your family and friends and things that you care about, which is all fine and dandy. At the end of the day, though, Facebook is ultimately a business, and they are a massive advertisement platform right now as far as pay-per-click is concerned, and this is another avenue, I think. But I also think this one makes a lot more sense. When you talk about products, you almost kind of consider businesses being able to put a little bit of money to promote their product if they're willing to, and things like that, get that exposure that they might not get normally. So I think it makes sense. And then to your point, why am I seeing this? Yeah. Facebook has a ridiculous array of targeting.
I just think the knowledge they have behind that platform is impressively amazing.
Yeah. There's so much to it, and to be able to say, like, okay, I'm seeing this because I'm within a similar audience to people who like this, or I'm seeing this because I was on this website 3 days ago, or whatever. Like, that kind of insight, I think, helps the consumer understand, because a lot of times people, like we always joke about, have that thought of, I thought of something yesterday and now I'm seeing an ad.
You're AI agent.
But now you're getting a little bit of insight from a consumer perspective. I think that's helpful.
Also, just kind of come full circle on here. Marketplace is great. You all know how much I love Marketplace.
Yeah.
I sell a lot. I buy a lot. So if you're not taking advantage of the Marketplace on your Facebook, have this be the pushing force. Definitely.
So, something that happened that was actually pretty shocking from a local business perspective the other day was, it's crazy how far we've come from an advertising perspective, from like Yellow Pages and things like that, to the point where like reviews can honestly make or break a business in this day and age. And
Lance talks about how important reviews are. We've talked about how important reviews are.
Yeah.
It's like this should always be on your radar, always.
And small business owners have literally said that reviews will be one of the reasons they don't see business for a week or whatever it might be. So something that happened on the Google platform itself. So within Google My Businesses, there were over 3 million fake reviews left within, I think, a course of like 36 hours.
Like 3 million fake reviews.
And
that's a big number.
And this is, a pretty scary statistic, not necessarily because of the reviews being left. Just to give you some insight, they were like 4-star reviews from a bunch of a bunch of fake profiles with no comments or anything like that. So a 4-star review, okay, it's not the end of the world. It's not like you're getting pummeled with a bunch of 1-star reviews. But of course, it's still incredibly unfair to business owners. But it's the fact that it actually happened, and that someone was able to kind of infiltrate the Google network like that, to be able to post all these reviews on millions of businesses across the United States. Google has, of course, removed all of these fake reviews, but again, what's to say it won't happen again? And whoever was behind this obviously opted to have a 4-star review with no comments. They could have very easily said, we're going to leave a bunch of 1-star reviews. It's not like that. I mean, that was just a decision they made. So it's clear that this could happen to businesses where these fake reviews can be affected. So ultimately, I think the moral of this story is to pay attention to your Google.
Always be monitoring your Google My Business.
Exactly.
It's one of the most important places. Like if you Google that knowledge panel, I always go off the knowledge panel, and if it's not there.
Yeah, someone's searching your brand. Maybe they had your brand in mind and they're looking for your service. They just need your phone number. So maybe they just Google your brand, and then all of a sudden they see poor reviews or whatever it might be. Yeah. They might be changing their mind. Really they were going to call you and they were just looking for your phone number, but now they've been presented.
We went to get our nails done yesterday and we were looking for a place.
For reviews.
For reviews, and so why am I going to spend my money somewhere that has negative reputation when I can go to the next place who has 5-star reviews,
exactly,
recommendations, etc. So as always, taking controls to inform you guys. Always be monitoring, always be keeping your Google My Business updated in case something like this were to happen. Yeah, I mean, outside of giving great service and trying to get reviews from your customers, of course, getting that feedback is always key. But also, there are things you can do as a business owner to make sure that you're not taken advantage of. We're very, we understand that it's a crazy world and that competitors can leave reviews for each other. We get all that, and there's steps that as a business owner you can take if you're paying attention and you're monitoring, your Google My Business, and you see that review come in. It's a lot easier to say, okay, I got this review less than 24 hours ago. I'm going to try to fight it because I have no idea who this is. Yep. I've never done business with them. And instead of waiting, and noticing it 9 months later, and you're like, okay, I have a 1-star. I'm going to try to get rid of it. Just kind of being on top of that, and that's not just with Google, but with everything. Yelp, Facebook. People are leaving reviews now more than ever. And I think as a business owner, it's an important component of everything, really. Absolutely.
So, Rachel and I sit up here almost every week and we talk about companies like Google, we talk about companies like Facebook and Amazon and these big players, whether, Comcast, Verizon, and we also always talk about how there's so much data out there. And, we're tied to, 50 different personal profiles on, 50 different, companies or apps or whatever it might be. And we have, billing tied to 8 of them, and we have our address tied to 30 of them. It's just there's so much data to be had out there, and really, they say we're in the era of big data now. So
absolutely.
It's so important, and what's really interesting is now the government is getting more involved than ever, really. And what's now happening is they're taking a look at companies like Facebook and like Google and Comcast who have all this data on us, on consumers. And they're saying, why are we so strict on, like, if a doctor loses someone's information versus, if Facebook gets breached or something like that? Or why are we so strict and hard on lawyers, and their compliance and everything like that compared to, like an Amazon?
Yep.
And they're actually trying to revise some things to apply that same logic to all these companies that have data. And I think that that's a really interesting step because it's to the point where these companies can't necessarily be that lackadaisical and sell data and give data and be. I
think it's just an extra layer of comfort.
Right.
If I'm going to trust you with my business, I'm going to trust you with my numbers, my data, and things like that. And could you imagine if one SEO turned around and sold everybody's information? No, we would be closed down immediately.
Right.
Obviously, we wouldn't do that, but that just puts it into perspective. So you put all your information on Amazon, on Google. If you sign into your Google account, that's how you got on everything. That's how Google saves all your passwords and everything. So it's really important for you guys to think about that, because if Google were to turn around and sell it, or someone would hack it, all of your information is just out there, and Google wouldn't be reprimanded. I think it's great, and it's a piece of comfort. You can tell that to your clients, you can tell that to your consumers, because I think it's going to make the whole process more trustworthy, and you're going to want to go to them knowing your data, credit card information, everything is protected.
Yeah, so this is what's being presented is what's called the Data Care Act. It was presented just this week, and it has a legitimate backing as far as the number of senators is concerned. It's obviously in the very, very early stages, so a lot of the legality and the legal talk and everything like that isn't necessarily laid out yet, ready for full proposal. But it is, of course, kind of outlined of what it would look like. And in its core, it's basically that all these companies are personally responsible for securing everyone's data. They're personally responsible to inform everybody if there is a data breach or if that data is compromised. And then even further, we know these companies, Facebook, Google, everybody, work with so many third-party companies. And basically this kind of act would extend to anybody that they work with. So if Facebook were to partner with another advertising agency, or Facebook were to partner with another third-party company, whether it's tracking or analytics or whatever it might be, all of the responsibilities that fall on Facebook would have to extend to these companies as well. But it's really kind of just cleaning things up across the internet and making people feel more secure, because I think we talked about it a few weeks ago where there was a survey done and people were essentially asked if they feel like their data is safe out there, with all these different companies, and almost half or whatever it was, 56% of you might have even been, basically said no, that they don't really know. They don't really know who has their data. They don't really know what's being done to protect it or what's out there, and it's kind of a scary notion when you take a step back, because pretty much everybody's got these online profiles and things like that out there. So it really comes down to just kind of protecting everyone's identity and integrity online. But
that was a good word. Integrity.
It's a great word.
It's a.
I was saving that one.
In, the SAT but just kind of it really brings it down to confidence, comfort, and integrity. So the only way to better your business is if your clients trust you, your clients feel comfortable with you, and they're going to grow with you. So
yeah, and just last week we talked about consumer confidence being at an all-time high as far as people being willing to buy online, and this kind of takes it a step further. But it is interesting because the government is honestly getting a little bit more involved now, it seems, with
and I feel like now
with this data.
With everything being such a digital world, everything happens online. You have to have that extra step of security, or else it's just gonna free fall,
Yeah, so I'm sure this will be talked about more and more as it gets closer to actually happening. I'm not so sure the outcry or anything from the public. I'm sure if anything it'd be more from the bigger companies that would have anything to say about it. But this is something that was just proposed this week, so it was something that we definitely wanted to bring to everybody's attention. Outside of that, the big story 6 is again our holiday parties tomorrow. We're excited to see you guys there.
It's going to be a lot of fun. Great drinks, great food. Shout out to Village Catering. They help us
rock stars.
Year, and literally Alan is my saving grace through this process. But it's a really good time. It's a great way for us to celebrate with you guys and to celebrate with each other. So come on out.
Yeah, well, we'll all be there tomorrow night. It's going to be a lot of fun. But we thank you guys for tuning into episode 75. It was a fun one, Rachel, as always.
Always.
And we hope that everybody has a fantastic weekend. We'll see you guys later.